Your voice, your heart, your truth. Those are the exact things that will truly set you free when you truly share them with the world. Hi, my name's Steve Kidd. I am a third generation minister, international best-selling author of 39 books and counting. I've had the wonderful privilege of working with over 5,000 people, helping them write, publish, market their books to bestseller, and everything that goes beyond that. And what I'm here to do today is to help you get clear. Today is your day for clarity. Today is the day that you stop hiding, you stop perfecting, you stop worrying, and you just simply share the you that you know right now. We've got tools, we've got things that we can bring in to help you get more clarity on who you are. But the step one, the first thing that you must do, the thing that I can't do for you, the thing you've got to do is you've got to show up. You've got to say the thing. You've got to do the thing. You've got to be the thing that you were called to, meant to, are supposed to do in this world. Nobody else can do it. Nobody else can be you. And honestly, as harsh as this might sound, nobody else wants to be you. And that's good because it leaves open this uniquely, wonderfully, incredibly cool place where you get to shine. You get to be the you that is you. You get to show up and, even show off a little bit of the thing that you are because you're the only one that can be that person. What happens when you stop hiding? What is possible? What could be if we just simply said and did the thing? Now, there are days, and let's just be real, okay? Let's just, have some real reality here, and let's really look at it. There are days that we don't feel like it. In fact, there's days that we feel like a complete failure, right? We've all had them. We all get that feeling, all right? But that feeling doesn't have any impact on what's true because you have made a difference in the world. You absolutely, positively are making a difference right here, right now, today, just by simply waking up and being you. And I know I feel it. I feel it inside of myself. It's like, yeah, but, right? All the yabbits that when we hear that kind of thing, we immediately say to ourselves about ourselves. I've said this a lot lately, and I'm probably preaching it for myself more than anybody else, but I want you to take a hold of it too. And that's the whole concept of our ears needing to hear what our mouth has to say. And that goes far beyond the 5 minutes, 50 minutes, 5 seconds, 5 hours, whatever it might be that you go live. It has to be consistent throughout the day. If we spend, okay, so let's say you sleep 8 hours a night. That leaves out of 24. You doing the math with me? That's 16, right? So you have 16 hours of being awake. Now, let's say you're an extreme, you are on the high end and you're doing an hour of social media posts, content, lives, all those kind of things every single day. Okay. Now, you could spend 4, 5, 6 hours easily doing that, but let's just say you're spending an hour. Okay. So out of that 16, that leaves you 15 hours that are left. Okay. Now, the assumption that we're going to make in this is that you're posting things that are helpful, they're positive, they're encouraging, they're life-changing, they're constructive, they're good, they're more gooder, right? Not that you're posting a bunch of worthless, useless, pointless crap, right? Okay? Let's just get beyond the head trash that we all feel, and let's just work on the assumption that 1 hour we're spending, we're doing good things. Okay. All right. I know I may have even already pulled you further than what you feel, but that's okay. All right. And I probably am overstating the amount of time that you're specifically on purpose creating content, posts, videos, teachings, courses, all of the, books, that you're intentionally spending that time. An hour for many of us may be more. And that's not a critique. That's not a criticism. There's so many other things going on in our life. If we added in there, getting dressed and getting ready in the morning and all of that morning routine, if we throw in there eating, 2 or 3 meals a day and the prep work and the cleanup and everything from that, all of those life things, that 15 hours is probably down to 8 or 10, really. And it could be considerably less than that. Okay? But what are our ears hearing our mouth say in that bulk of our hours? Okay, so again, I'm going to go back to the 15, because while you're eating, what words are coming out of your mouth? While you're waking up in the morning, I won't pick on you for the things that, the dreams that may go through your head. We could get deep into dream therapy and all that stuff, but we're not going to go into that today. Just from your experience, from basically zero engagement to all of your posts now having 20 plus reacts on every single post that you made, that's amazing. That's awesome. I love it. And that's the power of consistency. By showing up, not because we always want to, not because we always feel about it. Okay, but anyway, going back to our example, so what are our ears hearing us say? Out of that 15 hours that are left over after we spent the hour being positive and encouraging, are we talking about how less than we are? Are we telling our brain, is our brain hearing us say for the 15 hours? Again, like you said, I'm giving you a total pass on what dreams may come, to steal the phrase from the Robin Williams movie. Okay? Won't hold those for or against you. All right? And we know that we're spending that hour really putting it out there and being positive. Okay? But what are we doing the rest of the time? Are we hiding? Maybe it's not even, that we're talking trash about ourselves. I know some of you are, okay? I know I do it, so I know that you are too. It's just kind of the nature of life. Sometimes we feel really on, and we're just like, oh, yeah, I got that. And a lot of other times we feel like, am I screaming at the wind? And the only person hearing me scream back is me. We've talked about that a lot. You may need to be the one who you're talking to. You may need to, as uncomfortable as it is, and I don't want to do it either, so I totally get why. But you may need to, number one, while you're doing the video, look yourself in the eye. And number two, go back and listen to the video that you did. You may need to be your student. You may need that. And you may need to listen to it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 times in the day, depending on how long it is. You may be the exact person that needs what you're saying. And the question becomes, what are we feeding our brain? What does our ears hear our mouth say? And what are we hiding from? I know, right? What happens when you stop hiding starts from acknowledging that you are hiding. And I think that's the toughest part for all of us. Is that, the hardest part about being as amazingly awesome as what you are is you can get by with doing a lot less. You can kind of mark time, do a little bit here and there. You know what I'm saying? And you can make massive impact in the world. You can help 5,000 people become best-selling authors. You notice all the fingers pointing at me. You can be a marketing company for 40 years. You can go live every single day. But what are we hiding from? What are we saying to ourselves? Yes, but what are we really doing in the world? You see, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, and I'm just going to get really real with you here for a little bit. If you're listening live right now, today is, it's the noon hour Central Time on the 19th of September of 2025. And yes, Charlie Kirk, was killed last week. And, there are other people. And there's a lot of other people that died last week. Well, and besides the people that died of natural causes and illnesses and things like that, there were people that were murdered, were in accidents, had things that were beyond, normal flow of life events, meaning old age, sickness, kind of deaths, deaths that were brought on to them versus that were, a course of life type of a death. There's been a lot of that going on lately. And it doesn't really matter what you believe in. It doesn't really matter where you fall politically, spiritually, intellectually. I think we all need to agree that it's awful when somebody dies, even somebody horrible and rotten and we hate them and blah, blah, blah. We shouldn't be rejoicing in somebody's death. We should all be impacted and saddened when somebody dies. Maybe even especially somebody we disagree with. Because that's a loss to the world too. And especially if they went down in the flame of that thing that you're adamantly opposed to. The real loss is the capability to have an intelligent, articulate, clear, calm conversation between two people with absolutely opposing views, where they don't have to give up who they are, but they can absolutely state what they believe, but also listen to what the other person believes. We need a whole lot more discussion and conversation. Conversation is a two-way street. If I'm yelling at you, okay, like right now, unless Patricia makes a comment and then it becomes more conversational. Right now, this is a soliloquy. This is a sermon. This is me, yelling at the wind. And it wouldn't matter whether there's one person on live or there was 1 million people on. If I'm not interacting with, or if people aren't commenting, either way, it's a soliloquy. It's a one way. And I'm not really going to even use the word conversation. It's a talk. And those are good, and I'm not dissing them, and I'm the hugest proponent of you need to do that every single day, if only for your ears to hear it. But I think we need to understand discourse, and maybe that's a better word even than conversation. We need to understand the concept of conversation, of discourse, of interaction being the volleying of the ball back and forth. If you're only trying to slam the ball past the person, yes, monologue versus dialogue, meaning one alog versus multiple alogs, duologues. Sorry, I couldn't resist. A log meaning conversation, or logo, which comes from the word logos, which is the word, which is a Greek word, logos. Anyway, we've got to start having those conversations. which means that we volley it back and forth. Like I said, if you're just trying to slam the ball past, you're just trying to win your point, you just want to show that person up, it's not going to do us any good. It does nobody in the world for you to be dead right. Whether physically, specifically dead, or dead to the person you're conversing with. If you take them out verbally, you do what we used to call, you give them a ration of brain damage. One logic versus many logics. Yeah. If you're just talking to win a conversation, you're a big loser. Not sure why this is going this direction, but I think somebody, whether it's now live or on the replay, it may be 4 years from now, and it may not have anything to do with the immediate deaths that have happened in this last week. But I feel the weight of it in my spirit today, more so than I have over the course of the last week. I'm not saying that it didn't sadden me immediately, but I'm feeling the crush of it today for some reason. And I think we're on the precipice of a choice. I think as a society, we often come to choice places. And most of the time, I'm going to be brutally honest here, most of the time we make the wrong choices. Let's just be real. We see an opportunity and we polarize rather than pulling together. And it doesn't matter whether you talk about Charlie Kirk or you talk about George Floyd. Okay? Opposites in, the groups of people that were protesting after their deaths. Opposites in lifestyles, very much so. Opposites in race and belief. There's just a lot of dichotomy happening between just using those two individuals. And you could pick anybody, really. But our reaction in those situations could have been and can still be an opening and an opportunity for us to stop hiding and stop preaching and start communicating. Start truly conversing one with another. If when we speak, if the only outcome for the person listening is for them to agree with you or be wrong, bad, awful, evil, whatever, that's not conversing. You should, and I want you to absolutely feel 100% clear and invited to, even to the point of saying the thing that I'm adamantly opposed to personally. Okay? I want you to feel the open invitation to be able to say the thing. And the only thing that I ask back in return is, I will absolutely totally listen to what you have to say. Any of you that have ever watched enough of the shows of my radio show December is going to be 11 years, guys. Geesh. There are some people that have been on that show that have viewpoints that are completely dissonant to things that you've heard me say. But in every single one of those incidences, even when I've been brutally honest with them about not, believing the same thing they believe, I've given them grace and an opportunity to share who they are and what they believe. Even times when sometimes I've thought what they're saying is absolutely, totally crazy. Because more conversation and more listening, not more just out of hand, thoughtless, unconsidered mass agreement, but a place for true discourse. Not discord, but discussion. This is what I believe, and this is why I believe it. This for me is a thing that is a must, a non-negotiable. And it doesn't matter what you say, you need to know going into the conversation that it's not something I'm open to removing from my belief system. Okay. But I'm willing to listen to what you have to say and to truly hear what you have to say. Not just, there's listening and then there's listening. You know what I'm saying? Where we are just kind of listening to the words the person says to hear the thing that we can pounce on, versus really truly hearing what they have to say and being like, that's interesting. Tell me more about that. Or even coming back and saying, I don't agree with that at all. I hear what you're saying. I'm even interested in hearing why you believe that way. But I do also want to acknowledge the fact that I completely disagree with you. You could become really, really great friends with somebody that you have great disconnect in your belief system if you're willing to do two things. Listen, truly listen to what they have to say, and speak and be honest in a conversive, not argumentative way with what you feel and believe. And if you can create a space where you can have real conversations, especially about the difficult things. We live in a country where more than 50% of the people that get married get divorced. And they say that the biggest problems are communication and money. And most of the money problems are communicating about money. And then it leads to all the other things, cheating and all those other kind of things. But basically, it boils down to that base concept of, number one, not communicating, and number two, not being able to be whole enough to know who you are. See, you didn't think I was going to get back to clarity, consistency, and connection today, did you? And yet that clarity on who you are is rearing its head right here, right now, isn't it? Because true conversation starts when you know truly who you are. Because if you don't know who you are, somebody else is going to define who you are for you. And we have a lot of people running around that are just spewing things that they have heard and been told that that's the way it is, but they have no basis for their own self-belief in it. And that's why we fight. Let's be honest, okay? The reason why we grab a hold of and fight, about something is because we don't have a foundational basis. The things that you're truly clear on and you're adamantly gut in your heart, you don't have to defend those. They're not open for change. And you have no problem with somebody else having a completely opposing opinion, because that's okay then for them to be 100% who they are without it in any way making you feel attacked or less than, because they think, feel, believe, know, have experiences of things that are different than what you are. Now, yeah, I'm talking some hugely mental health and grown-up kind of things that don't exist a whole lot. Let's be real. We don't really have a lot of these kind of discussions. Discussion, removal, cushion, label. Okay, I like that. Hard conversations do require emotional intelligence. I have a friend of mine on LinkedIn. I I call him a friend. I mean, he was a guest on my radio show, and I follow his LinkedIn stuff. And that's says something about our world today that we call those people our friends. But I'm really impressed with the guy. The guy says statistically that EQ, meaning your emotional quotient, your emotional intelligence, is now don't quote me on that. It's either 400% or 4,000%. And I want to say it's 4,000, but let's just say 400 just for, lack of overwhelm. More impactful than IQ. So in other words, it's not what you know, but it's how you have the emotional intelligence to be able to be firmly who you are and make room for somebody else to be 100% who they are. When a person doesn't have to agree with you anymore, then you can actually have a conversation with them. You're clear in who you are. Clarity is powerful until you're clear on who you are. And if you're not 100% clear to the point where you can sit down with a person who believes exactly the opposite of everything that you are and not be triggered, there's more internal work. There's more EQ that you need to work on. Because the things that you just know, if you, for example, and this one's come into some fire in the last few years too, but let's just take that 2 + 2 = 4. Okay, let's not get into any of the debates or the philosophicals or what if 2 is actually a rounded down expression of 2.2. Okay, let's not get into any of those philosophies. Let's just this many plus this many equals this many. Okay, real basic kind of stuff. But if you're not clear on that, if you don't have something in your life that is absolute truth, the thing that you know that you know that you know that you know that you know, you need that clarity. You need it you need it like yesterday. I know you want to make an impact in the world. And absolutely, when you stop hiding and you say the things, you're going to be a catalyst for change. And like I said, I don't have any idea why I went this direction with it. It's not what I had planned out. I was going to outline all the things that happen when you stop hiding, and it was going to be all good. And for some reason, this weight that I'm feeling today, I don't know what it is, but I know how to listen to it. And I know that whether you're live or on a replay, whether it's September 19th for you, or it's, 4 years from now, sometime in May in 2030, that we need to really embrace this concept of being clear who we are and why. What is that thing you're passionate about? That thing that you go off on. I'm not telling you to stop doing that. I'm asking you to spend some time to investigate, why is this important to me? Now, I'm going to warn you, sometimes when you go deeper on that, you realize this isn't even my thing. This thing that I've been adamantly passionate about is one of my parents. It's a school teacher. It's my best friend. It's my worst enemy. It's a fight against something that I'm upset with versus being something that's the heart and soul and core of who I am. And when we get to the place where we discover that, that's when we let those go. Ooh, that's tough, I know. Because we're passionate about it and it just makes us, Why would I let that go? Don't you know how passionate about this thing I am? Yes, I do. And I have a few of those things in my own life too. And yes, I just as much as you do need to let them go in my life too. And maybe this whole entire discussion is just for me. Maybe it's just for my ears to hear me saying all this today, and that's fine too. More discussion, more words, more openness, and more clarity on who we are. Know yourself. Know yourself clearly and deeply, and then share yourself open and honestly, completely with the world. And let the chips fall where they may. Because when you're clear, okay, you know clearly who you are, you know what you're passionate about, you know why you're passionate about it, and you've then spent the time to take that why and turn it into a message that's powerful, that's shaped and molded into the I'm passionate about this thing because, and here's how I want to share it with the world. There's a purpose behind that passion. It's not just me, Don Quixote tilting at windmills. There's real dragons to be slain. Then you can really powerfully stop hiding. Because then you're just going to come out in the world and you're just going to, sit in your chair and lean back and be like, hey, there's me. That's who I am. All right. I'm going to tell you my stuff about me. I'm going to tell you what I absolutely know clearly, concisely, completely. And I'm going to consistently say this because I know that it connects with that person that it's meant for. And I know that all the rest of the people are wonderful, incredible individuals, but they don't matter because this message isn't for them. See, your message isn't for everybody. Maybe it's only for one person, and that would be fine because if that person really needs what you have to say and helping them with that thing. If you were walking down the street and you saw somebody that was literally on fire, and you had a bucket of water. I don't know why you're walking down the street with a bucket of water. Okay, I realize that this is a kooky description, but you had a bucket of water in your hand. Would you throw the water on the person on fire? I mean, think of what kind of amazing revelation it would be if your gut just told you, hey, go for a walk and take this full bucket of water with you when you go. And you're out there feeling like a dork with a bucket full of water, walking down the street. And then you see somebody on fire. And all of a sudden it all clicks together. And you're like, hey, I've got a bucket of water. Now you're no longer on fire. That's what your words are. That's what your message is. When you're clear, when you take the time to listen to your gut, move away from the head trash and all the things that we think our way through it and feel your way into what am I passionate about? Why am I passionate about it? And then how can I put verbiage behind that why to help the who? How can I intuitively know and be ready for when that person appears? There's an old phrase that says, when the student is ready, the master will appear. I'd like to challenge that a little bit today and say, if you're meant to be a student's master, get ready. Because when the student appears, the master better be ready to be able to really, truly deliver the stuff that student needs. It's kind of like when your kids come to you, and they're little, and they ask you a gazillion questions. And a lot of them you have answers for, and some of them you don't. Right? I'll never forget it. I think it was Maya, because she's always asking these kind of questions, totally her. Asked one day, what is God's shoe size? What a cute, adorable question. How do you answer that? I mean, you could go deep, but are you really going to go in depth into the whole concept and the enormity of God to a 3-year-old? Or do you just look at him and smile and say, What size shoes do you think God wears? Or maybe if you have just even a little bit more clarity, you're like, you know what size shoes God wears? No, that's why I asked. God wears your shoes every day. It's why he made you, was to be a reflection of him in this world. Yeah, you could go that way with it too. Why do you think God wears shoes? Maybe he has really gnarly feet and he likes to walk on hot coals. But if you're like, well, let me go and research God and come back to you, oh little 3-year-old, with a deeply articulate answer as to what size shoes God wears, the moment's gone. They're like, okay. And then they run off and they, go play Barbies. And if you come back to them after your 6-week or 6-year deep dive into the nature and the depth of God, and you sit down with this little child, you're like, you remember when you asked me what size shoes God wears? Here's your answer. They're going to be like, no, I don't remember when I asked you that. Okay, thanks, bye. And they're going to go off. The master wasn't ready, and so the student didn't learn anything. What a great teachable moment. And what a great opportunity to kind of begin to wrap this up with everything that I've said today. Because people listening, have different views. Talked to a guy yesterday that was challenging the concept of, of the typical Christian minister, and why, if they believe that God can heal people, why aren't they, constantly healing people? And yet this guy does, according to him, and he has testimonials, I have no reason to disbelieve him, does heal people. Written books, has all kinds of testimonials on it. Okay. I think it's a legit question, and it was a fun discussion to have. I didn't have to be in a place where I had to, exegetically expound upon why he was absolutely wrong, and this is the heart and core and soul and nature of God. I could take that question in and be like, all right. Because one of the things that he, I think he has some definite God belief in him, but I think it's very different from your stereotypical Christian religion viewpoint. He also turned around and quoted that, Jesus said, greater things than I do will you do. It's a Bible verse. It's in there. You may not like me for bringing it up. I didn't write it. Go have a discussion with God. It's words that came out of Jesus' mouth according to the Bible. Now you could, and in this particular case, I'm talking to people who believe in the Bible. If you don't believe in the Bible, then it doesn't really matter. You see, I like being at the place where I know what I believe and I don't have to apologize for it anymore. Spent a lot of years doing that. Many of you have heard me say, at the beginning of every one of these lives, I'm a 3rd-generation minister, international best-selling author of. So that when, and then I work with 5,000 people, blah, blah, blah. All of those are on purpose. So that when I, during the course of this, talk about a Bible verse, use a Christian reference, you're not shocked. You're not offended. I mean, if you want to opt out because I'm a 3rd-generation minister, I told you right up front. I'm not going to be hurt by it. I understand that other people believe things that I don't believe. And that's okay. Can you love the person who believes absolutely the opposite of you? Anybody can love the people that, that agree with them completely and just lap at their feet and tell them how amazingly, incredibly cool and wonderful they are. That's easy. That's why it's easy to love a small child, because they're just enamored with you and they just think you're the most amazingly incredible, cool thing. That's why often brothers and sisters have, at some point, a breakdown in the relationship, because the younger sibling at one point was in awe of the older sibling. And it doesn't really matter whether they're, a year or two older or they're 10 or 15 years older. There's that amazing thing that older sibling can do that they don't know how to do yet. Tie their shoes, cross the street by themselves, sit in a chair at the table versus a high chair. But at some point, that younger sibling gets old enough that they're not in as much awe of the older sibling as they used to be. And the older sibling really wants them to remain forever in that awe of them because it feels good. We all want that. Why wouldn't we? It's normal human nature. But the cool relationship you can see is when the siblings move beyond, they move through that disconnect, and they move into a place where they really get to know each other and they kind of think one another is cool and they like spending time together. I love siblings that have that kind of relationship. Not because they're allied against a common enemy, and as long as there's a fight, they can get along, a fight that they're mutually fighting against, but just because they've formed a friendship based on, being grown and knowing each other and who they really are and not the perceptions of small minds. I went way around the world and all over the place today, didn't I? Just to ask you, what would happen if you stopped hiding? What would happen if you got really, truly clear? What would it do in your life if you really, truly knew who you were and you knew why? And you knew how to articulate that plainly and clearly? What difference would that make in your life? What difference would that make in the world? Who needs to hear that clarity from you? This is the point of the presentation every time when I just really struggle. I'm just telling you honestly. Because now what I'm supposed to say is come join us, visibilityamplifier.com. And I'm supposed to have a call to action. And I'm not good at that. Because I want to pour into your heart and soul. We need to figure out some kind of way. Maybe you can help me with this, Patricia, where, I don't know, I put together AI agents or VAs or something that can just come in and just massively invite people and pass this around to people that need it. I like inspiring and motivating and being positive and encouraging. I've really come to understand that I did great in sales because I really cared about the people. And I took the product that I was selling that I believed was impactful for them and helps them with their life to be a solution for them. Still doing that to this day with, for example, helping you get your book done and making it a bestseller. Because I know verbally when you can say, I'm the best-selling author of the book on, what night and day difference that makes in your marketing language. So though I'm not good at it, do come join us, visibilityamplifier.com. It's a great place for you to get clarity. You and I need to work together. We do. I'm just going to give it to you straight up. If you can't feel and sense my heart at this point, I'll keep trying harder, I guess. But I know you need to be clear. You need to understand your passion. You need to dig into why that is something you're passionate about. And then you need to find the purpose in that. The words, the messaging, the books, the courses, the signature talk that comes out of that purposeful use of that passion to serve that person that it's meant to serve. Now, if that sounds cool to you, come join us, visibilityamplifier.com. I'm so glad we get to spend time together every day. I'm looking forward to tomorrow already. The schedule says that our title is going to be Your Voice Creates Movements. And that is what I'm intending to talk to you about, is why your voice is so important to create not just a message, but a movement in the world. And more than likely, that is the stream we'll swim down. And if we take a left turn at Albuquerque like we kind of did today, you'll love me and you'll be here and you'll still appreciate that sometimes I just need to share my heart with you. And I think somebody really needed it today. I'm so glad you were here, live or on the replay, now or 10 years from now. I appreciate you. I hope that you're happy, you're safe, and you're warm and loved, that you feel amazing and that sunshine's shining inside of your heart, whether it's sunny or rainy outside. I hope you feel fulfilled and that you truly do take up the challenge to be clear. And then until we're together again next time, which is tomorrow, I hope you have a great week.